As you can see on your screen, there's a bell and there's some other equipment that our dear friend and our professional constituent will identify. And ladies and gentlemen, I welcome to all of you, my friend. I need you all to be calm in the chat if you can. If you have some questions that you want to ask, feel free to do so. As you all know, when you contribute to the channel and highlight your comment or question, I will acknowledge them throughout the duration of our dialogue with Miss Alice Grady. But in the meantime and in between, ladies and gentlemen, members of the jury, members of the Roll the Tape film crew, I introduce to all of you my friend, my professional constituent, and she's like a relative of mine. Please welcome Miss Alice Grady. What's up, Ali?
Hey Marty, how you doing?
I am doing great, and I'm doing even better because I have you here live in living color. And you know, it took us a little bit of time to get you to move some things in your schedule. And so I want to first welcome you to the Manager Marty channel. You know me personally, but I have to still maintain a decorum of professionalism in front of my audience. And you know, we play around and joke around a lot, and hopefully we can do a little bit of that in this conversation.
Mhm.
As
Mhm.
you know, I have interviewed other professional boxers and referees,
Yes.
and so you know how this go. But I'm going to do something different tonight, Alice. I know that I'm always in interview mode with them, but I'm going to chill and lay back this evening, and we're going to have a conversation like we always do on the phone for hours and hours and hours. So feel comfortable. I want to make you feel like you're at home. You are family to me. You are basically a guest of the channel, but you are family to me. But we want to get right into it, Alice. Before I start, I want to ask you: do you have any welcoming or introductory words to the audience before we start the conversation?
Well, I mean, first and foremost, Marty, I want to say thank you for your edification. I appreciate it. Um, you are doing a magnificent job. I love the roller tape. I look forward to listening to it at all times. I love it. And thanks for having me. Thanks for having me. I appreciate you asking me to be on your show.
Yes, absolutely. You are so welcome, Alice. And you know, the thing I love about what we do here on the platform is we provide a business perspective, but also a perspective of educational purposes, right?
Mhm.
That is very unique to other YouTube channels.
Right.
And so this is why I think it's a great opportunity for you to come join us. And you are an expert. You are certified, you are licensed. We'll get into a little bit of that. But before we get into all of that, Alice, can you introduce yourself to the audience by sharing with us how did you get into boxing? What influences did you have that encouraged you to get into the big sport of boxing?
One influence, and that influence is mom. Growing up with fight parties, watching her go to Atlantic City, to Boardwalk Hall, you know, watching her get dressed up and dazzled up. Because the main thing boxing brings is you got to get fly. You got to, that's the thing. You got to get dressed up. When you go into the fights, it's about that gear. So, just watching her and as an adult, as I got older, you know, going to a live boxing match, it changes you because it's different than watching it on TV, Marty. It's
Yeah,
so different. Live, it brings out the anticipation of the event, the hustle and the bustle of what's going on around you. So my first live boxing match was at the Alhambra, which is now called the 2300 Arena. Okay. Um, and once I sat in that live boxing match, Then I went to the Blue Horizon, watching matches at the Blue Horizon. And, I was like, man, it was something I wanted to do, to be a part of it. How can I be a part of it? But it took some years after that. It wasn't right away that I jumped in and said I wanted to be a timekeeper. Um, it took years, and then I just said, I'm gonna just, how do I do it? Where do I begin? And someone told me to start with USA Boxing. So I started with USA Boxing. I wanted to be a part of the sport. I wanted to be a part of that anticipating night. I wanted to be a part of what was going on. So, and that's what I did. I signed up with USA Boxing, and going in, I kind of knew already I wanted to be a timekeeper because I'm laid back. This right here, me being on this YouTube with you, okay, is a lot, okay? Because I'm laid back. I'm in the background. I like to be in the background, so much. So I knew that refereeing wasn't something that I wanted to do. Um, I once I signed up with USA Boxing, I had an opportunity to um, judge. I had an opportunity to see how that was, and I liked it. Um, you know, but again, it's a lot of controversy behind doing that. And I saw that little old spot over there with that sound ringing. That person was just sitting there and just doing what they were doing, and all they needed to do was just ring the bell, and I wanted to see more what that was about. That's what I wanted to see, and that's how it really started for me.
You
Now I
mentioned.
can't hear you. I can't hear you.
I'm sorry.
There
You
you
mentioned
go.
you mentioned USA Boxing, right?
Yes.
Can you tell the audience the training and the certifications that you received and had to experience to be certified and gain that knowledge of learning how to actually time keep in the amateur boxing program of USA Boxing?
So I'll tell you this: that first time that I had a conversation with Jamil Ali. At that time, he was the chief of officials. Um, Around the time that I started during the Golden Gloves of all things. Love that picture. I started during the Golden Glove of all things. And I tell you, at that time, the Golden Gloves was in Chester. Okay. So it was during the registration. And when I walked in and I'm looking at all of these people, and I'm saying to myself, is this what I want to do? It was just, the intimidation of it. Um, but getting started, I just, you have to go in, you register on USA Boxing, you pay your fee, and you do a safe sport. The safe sport, I love the safe sport because it's so educational. Um, where where the referees, I mean the coaches, the officials, the interactions with the amateur children, what to do, what not to do, and you have to pass that. So that was definitely one of the credentials that's required in order to you for you to become an official. So I passed that, and again, you have they show you the clerking. USA Boxing, you get a chance to do that. You get a chance to do timekeeping. You get a opportunity to help out with the weigh-ins as a female official. You are helping with the female boxers. Because you don't want the female boxers to feel, just nervous, where they have to take their clothes off to stand on a scale in front of males. So that's where the female boxers come in at. I mean, female officials come in at. So, helping out in that aspect also, and signing coaches in the glove table. There are so many different things that you get trained on when you come in, and to be an official, and you pick from those things what you can, what you feel like you want to do best. And for me, it was timekeeping.
Yeah. So obviously, no one else knows this on the live right now. But our family, our boxing family, know this, and I can share this openly now that you are here. You actually was the first timekeeper to actually train me
Yes.
on learning how to actually time keep. So technically, I'm certified to time keep as well,
Yes.
USA Boxing, and I learned from the best of the best, the
And you
greatest.
do an excellent
You.
job.
Thank you so much. But
Hmm.
before I talk about how you trained me, let's talk about someone or some people that influenced you. Who was one or more of the trainers that trained you in timekeeping?
Okay, so as I stated, the Golden Gloves was going on, and at that time, the president of the Golden Gloves was Lola Corello. Mike Malloy, Mike Malloy was the timekeeper that trained me. And I'm not going to say, like, it's, you having the clock in this hand and you having the clock, you and the clock sitting down there, and you watching the ring. You got to make sure that you coordinating with the referee. It's a lot to it, but I didn't care because it was what I wanted to do. It was what I wanted to learn, and I really, Mike Malloy, rest his soul. He trained me, and I appreciate the training. And the unfortunate thing was, as he got sick, he was not any longer able to come. So I was mainly the Golden Glove timekeeper at that time. Once he wasn't able to come, other people did but I was like always doing it. And those, when you're at amateur fights, you can have close to 18, fights a night, 20, so I can't say you that's the best experience to have when you're consistently doing it. With those many fights, with that experience, in that tournament, I couldn't have got the best experience at that time.
Yeah. So there's a picture on the screen here. You said you love this picture. Do you remember this picture that we took?
Oh, I do.
We were at Dylan Price's fight,
Yep.
and one of the fighters that I used to manage, he actually
Yes.
fought on that card,
Yes.
and we had a wonderful time.
We did.
There were some things that happened with the bell that sounded good. And I said to you, because you were still training me at this
Mhm.
time
Mhm.
as a timekeeper,
Mhm.
and I said to you, that's that's a great sound of the bell.
Mhm.
And you started telling me there at the fight, and then of course when we went to the shows all around to do our USA Boxing 1-2, you
Yes.
were teaching me about the different types of sounds of the actual bell.
Yes.
Can you talk about the different types of sounds of the bell and how there is an actual technique in hitting the bell the right way?
Ugh. Ugh. Marty. Yes. Let me tell you. It's like hitting a drum. You're not going to hit a drum. You know, it, you're listening. It's like music to me. It's like music to my ears. The bell is round. The one thing that you will not do is use your hammer to hit the bell on the top of the bell, because it is going to is there's no sound there. The ringing of the sound comes from the sides of the bell. And that is where you'll get your best tone at, your best ring at. If you When you're watching boxing on TV, that's the sound that it echoes when the round is over, and you want to hear it clear, and you want to hear it like the ringing in your ears that it's supposed to be. Okay, and I pride myself in doing that, and I told you, I'm gonna definitely, whoever I train, whoever I teach, that is the number one thing that has to be shown, is you do not want to be doing an event and you do not know how and where to hit your bell. Sound means everything during a fight.
Wow. And speaking of during a fight, can you give the audience the roles or the responsibilities of an actual timekeeper?
Definitely. So my role when I first come in, one thing that I like to do is, I like to know, first of all, where where I'm at. That plays a part too, because sometimes different states have different things that I have to make sure that I have to do. So my first thing that I do is, when I come in, I speak with the commissioner. He gives me my bout sheet. Once I get my bout sheet, I look it over, and I even have one that I can kind of show you an example of. This one right here, where I just do everything. I make sure, if the rounds are 8 rounds, I'm writing down how many rounds it is, because the one thing that's also important for a timekeeper is, if the referee is not sure of what round it is, he may look at you and say, "Hey, what round is it?" And if I don't have the round checked off, I can't help them. And my job is to help the referee. I am like how can I say, like a running back to a quarter football player. So I'm out there trying to get the ball, okay, and make sure I get the touchdown. So we are in sync. So I have to make sure that, to this referee, that I have everything, the rounds down. I have to make sure that my times, and for pro, it's all 3 minutes except if it's a female. So my clock is in my hand, and when the referee signals me to go, I'm hitting the bell and I'm clicking my watch. My second clock I have down here that will be sitting, and that is in case of, let's say, a low blow happens and the referee wants to give the opponent 5 minutes. Then I have to start my 5 minute watch over here. That's what that second one is for. And when the referee calls it off, I stop that one and we go back to the other one. So there are different things. I am also, as a timekeeper, I can be a knockdown um, um, a knockdown timekeeper for the referee, if there is not another referee sitting next to me. If there's a knockdown ref sitting next to me, then I don't have to worry about that. But if there's not, if the opponent goes down, then I have to. I don't care if it's a grace of the glove. If his gloves touch, I have to start my count. One, two, and until the referee picks it up for me, I stop. Then he continues. If he waves it off and calls it not a knockdown, then I don't have to worry about that. Then I stop my count. So not only am I there to make sure that the rounds are timed correctly, I have to make sure also that between rest periods, when the round is over, and I use my clappers to signal to the referee that there's 10 seconds out, and then I hit the bell once the time is up. Then my whistle, because that's also one of the things that I have to use, which I use for my rest, for the rest period, the 1 minute rest period. that the boxers have. And when it's time for them to get up, the 10 seconds out, I blow my whistle to signal the referee. He's going to come in and call seconds out. And all the corners have to make sure they're getting their things together. And once that minute is up, then I'm hitting my bell to make sure the fighter starts again.